Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Cup Chasers podcast. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening.
Well, according to talking about medical staff, according to Transfer Market, we did appoint 3 new people last year. One was 3 physiotherapists, but we kept the sports science guy that was appointed in 2016, and we kept the club doctor that was appointed in 2018. We also have we appointed 2 physiotherapists. We kept one who had been with the club since 2001. So I don't understand the string of injuries. I thought with a more intensive preseason that we wouldn't be seeing it, but we're now going to be down potentially 4 starters and until January. And I know everybody's facing injuries. I'm not saying that they're not, but for a team that needs to gel together, that's the worst thing you can have. And because you're having moving parts and all that. I was shocked that Poch came out and said that, because he hasn't been very vocal about the transfer market in terms of, oh, we need this, we need that. He came out and said we need a striker, that we got to get a second striker. And that first tells me that Broja is probably not as far along as they originally thought. But 2, I think he sees that while the midfield's fixed, the attack's not. And, we can get somebody who can hit a ball in, that'd be great, because we like to cross it, but there's no one there to head it home, So, but I can understand the panic. I can understand the frustration. I just take it as it's game 2 of 38. If we get to, past Luton and the international break and we still look totally hapless, then I can understand some panic. But I think that there'll be some calming once you've got Caicedo up to speed, and allows Enzo to get forward and play what he should be playing, more of an attacking, creative role.
So you don't think there's there's really all that much pressure on the Luton game? Because
I think if you don't come out with 3 points, there's a problem for sure.
Saying puts pressure on it, because these first 7-8 fixtures are somewhat favorable for Chelsea, and this one especially, the Luton game especially, and so, like, as much as Chelsea fans were panicking after this game, if Luton doesn't go well, I can only imagine they'll already be calling for Poch's head. So, but I think it's that patience thing. You're just gonna have to have some patience, and I think it'll come good eventually. Anything you want to add, X, about the game?
Patrick's a little more positive than I am. I expect way more from $100 million players. I expect Enzo to hit his PKs. I expect Caicedo not to pick up red cards. I expect.
Would you have somebody else on the PK?
Yes, I would put Jackson on there.
I agree.
Put Jackson on a PK. He needs to score goals. Put Jackson on a PK. Enzo hit 5 in Liga Copa in South America. Those PKs are nothing compared to what the Premier League brings on keeper side. The keepers he's hit PKs against in the Copa and the Liga does not compute to the same as what he is facing in the Premier League. And the run-up's trash, the hit was trash, the lean-to's trash. He looked worse than Georgie taking a PK. The only difference is Georgie had a 98% conversion rate on his. And that's my problem. Jackson needs to score goals. Jackson needs to get in the goal-scoring mindset for this season. Let him stand up. Let him take the PK. Let the strikers do their job. Enzo needs to fulfill his role. Let him be creative. Put him in that mindset. Don't let him stand up to the spot, because it ruined him. He was not the same after he took the PK. We weren't the same after he missed the PK. It completely changed that game for us. And that is shambolic. It's shambolic on both Poch, Enzo, front end, back end. It's a bad call. I did not agree with the Chile substitution. I thought that was the worst call of the game. Chile was the only reason we had left possession with offensive mindset to actually go in on goal. Chuka's goal came from Chile. Like Chile was the pressure that created these moments on that left-hand side. Yeah, I do think he's playing a little too far up. I'll agree with you there, Patrick. I think he gets caught up a little bit.
That's why Colwell gets abused on the attack because
Colwell has no business, and that was 100%. And I will blame him to the day I will die on that hill. He has no business being at the top of an 18. None. You know why you get beat that way? Because you just ran 60 yards. You're a defender. Now you have to run another 60 yards tracking an offender that's already faster than you. You give anyone in this league, like Jake was just talking about, 3 yards, you're dusted. You're gone. He did not track back. He did not get behind his man. He gave him his shoulder, and he got beat for it. And then Disasi had to come over and help him, and then gets dusted as well.
He wasn't close enough either, yeah.
And, it's I've said it before, every goal is a breakdown of defensive mistakes. As soon as Colwell went up to that top of the 18, every fan in that stadium should have been like, what in the world are you doing? Right. What are you doing that far up? You are not Vincent Kompany. You are not going to bang in a goal that Virgil van Dijk almost hit against us last week. Like, that's not you, bro. That's not your role. You have no business being up there. And it's just, I expect, you know what? $100 million gets you a player like Jude Bellingham. Jude Bellingham comes in, boosts Real Madrid, comes in, fits in the system, comes in, has no lag, comes in, has the stats to back up his bank. We don't. Enzo, yeah, sure. He had a really good game against Liverpool. Again, stat for stat, I'd rather spend my money on Bellingham. Caicedo, stat for stat, rather spend my money on Bellingham. That's $100 million.
I don't think you can make any comment on Caicedo yet.
That's not a comparison.
He played like 15 minutes in the last 6 months.
No, yeah, all right.
Awful.
He plays 15 minutes. The touch he had on the corner flag, trash. The tackle he had in the box. You're a professional $100 million player. You're a $100 million professional. You're a professional.
Again, he hasn't trained. He hasn't played.
150.
I mean, even Pochettino's like, he really should only play like 15, 20 minutes. We put him on with 40 minutes to go in the game.
I've seen $100 million players come back from injuries after being months off the field. No excuse. You are a $100 million player. No excuse.
Doesn't mean
right, but they've trained up to that point to get back on the field.
None.
He's only trained with the team for
he's still on the practice squad with Brighton until he gets sold. It's not like he's sitting there eating donuts and hanging out with Graham Potter at the pool.
Maybe it was. Any thoughts?
De Zerbi had no interest whatsoever in preparing him for the season.
He's still going to practice. Aubameyang was still on our practice field whenever he was hanging out with Barcelona in their locker room. He still went to practice. Like, he's not just sitting there doing nothing. He's a $100 million professional soccer player, making tackles like that, not possessing the ball. He looked nervous. He played nervous. And $100 million does not get me nervous. That's the standard that they've created. And if the standard for $100 million is Jude Bellingham right now,
no, you want a standard for a $100 million player. You should see Declan Rice today in the Arsenal game. Anyway, any thoughts on
another one? Yeah, Declan Rice comes into Arsenal. Yeah, prime example. Fits right in.
Again, a preseason to actually gel with the team. I mean, that's the point.
Patrick, $100 million. You are a professional player. You played since you were 6 years old. You don't need time. They play every day. The touch should be there at $100 million. Mudryk, not $100 million. Enzo, not $100 million. Caicedo, not $100 million.
You pay that.
I disagree completely.
We got bent over a barrel on those 3 players. And like Jake said, it's going to take time for them to pay off because 8 years, they still might not make their money back.
So you're now out on Enzo too?
I'm saying if you're lining up Enzo to be a conversion and a PK taker and you're playing him outside of his role, you wasted $100 million. Wasted $100 million.
What you saying, Lewis?
Enzo got bodied all last season. Not $100 million. You want to talk about time fitting in the role? What's Enzo's excuse? He had one good game against Liverpool, tracked last season, tracked the summer, tracked the West Ham game. Again, not.
He was trashed this summer? Since when?
Bro.
Did we watch the same games at all? Because
Bro,
like Enzo
look
was really
at
good
his
this summer.
numbers on paper. Enzo is nowhere near the quality that Declan Rice brings at $100 million, that Jude Bellingham brings at $100 million. Nowhere near it. We got bent over a barrel on that. He had 13 good games in a World Cup, and we paid for it. 7 good games in a World Cup. Sorry.
He was good for Benfica.
He was very good for Benfica.
He didn't take PKs for Benfica, now did he? Nope. His five come from a no-name league in South America where he's taking PKs against people like Josh Truax that we had to do against practice. That's the problem. That's the problem I have with this game on Wednesday. We deserved that 3-1. That scoreline 100% reflect with the red card next
No, we
to it.
didn't. Not even
Yes,
close.
yes, we did. We did not convert. We played defense like trash. Our goalie's out of position. Look at his.
He was not out of position.
Go back and look at his distribution percentage for this game. Then go back and look at Kepa's complete distribution percentage. Trash. We have put ourselves in a hole because my man Todd Bowley wants to play money ball with this team. I'm telling you, it's not going to be good if they keep this mindset and this mentality moving forward. That was embarrassing. Where was their pride? They showed no pride against West Ham, a team that almost got relegated. Might get relegated. 3-1, down 10.
I mean, that was a strong performance. I don't know about all that.
Yeah, we made them look good. That was the problem.
Did we though? Because they really didn't look that good.
We had nothing. We could not convert anything. We had 70% possession, didn't do anything with it.
I mean, I don't think they looked under pressure at all.
No. I agree. They didn't.
Yeah, the game totally flipped when Carney went off. I'm telling you. I know you say that the PK was but no, game totally flipped. Because the first thing that Poch does is he puts Mudryk on as a 10, which he has no business playing as a 10, to keep Chile at wing instead of actually, putting someone who can play the 10 properly and letting Mudryk play on the wing. I mean, the thing is we were beating them down the wings all the time. I mean, there was no question. We were getting the ball in the box, but there's nobody there to finish it.
Well, hopefully Chelsea will be able to figure out. Pochettino will be able to figure it out.
We go to Luton and take a draw. We go to Luton and take a draw.
It's at the Bridge.
We play Luton at the Bridge and take a draw.
It's a gimme.
You'll see.
It's a gimme. Yeah.
Sanchez lets in another one. That'd be 4 games. What? 4 games, 4 goals. 3 games. 3 games, 5 goals.
3 games, 5 goals.
5 goals.
Yeah. Any thoughts on those 3 games, 5 goals, Lewis?
Not on those games. I mean, the only thing I have is that Chelsea looked disappointing, but I won't beat that over the horse because the internet has literally beat Chelsea in the face about just where they are.
We deserve it.
And my only question is, and you guys kind of alluded to it, and I think it's a really good point, is either you or Patrick mentioned that Chelsea will get back to their ways or whatever. But like, what does that mean now? Like, what is the new standard? Because there has to be a new standard. There's no way that, and I get it to a degree for big football clubs like Chelsea Football Club, where you're like, okay, we have to get back to winning Champions Leagues and leagues. I really feel like it should be a one step at a time thing. I mean, like, for example, Arsenal is also a big club, and if Arsenal came out of the gate when they finally, they felt like they had a season that was going in the right direction, would they go, let's go win the Champions League? That just feels like it's unrealistic. And I feel like that's what some Chelsea fans are doing. They're like, well, we're Chelsea, we have to win the Champions League. And they're so used to sort of the erratic roller coaster of what they've been, where like, oh, we'll be back and win Champions League. Even though I think it's great for the club for their history, but it's also a double-edged sword, sort of a curse. When they won They won the champ. Was it with Villas-Boas? They won the Champions League, or
No, it was with Di Matteo.
They won it with Di Matteo, but then they won Europa with Villas-Boas, right? Is that right?
No, he was let go before then.
Well, who won Europa? It was somebody. Another.
I think it was Goose Hindick, if I remember.
Yeah,
right.
it was him. And so, but see, that's sort of the thing that has happened in Chelsea for at least the last 20 years, where they could just throw whatever at
because our managers didn't matter, right?
And you could just throw whatever at the wall, and you be like, they don't have no business here, and then they'd win. Like when they won the Champions League, they had no business there, and
Both
they
times.
they won, and wasn't it? And then when they won the Europa League, and they didn't finish in the top four, and they ended up getting a Champions League spot because of that. So they're just so used to the erraticness of that, and Bowley is coming in trying to have sort of a calm presence. And then so now that you have the jokes of, well, just it's been a rough start of the season, the amount of money that they've overpaid for players. I mean, they're really good players. We're not going to pretend like those guys are not good. They're just, the valuation has created more pressure than maybe they should have, in addition to the fact that you have fans of Chelsea Football Club, and it's worldwide. Their fanship is and support is worldwide, and it creates a thing. So then you put it on this guy Pochettino, who's a good manager, but I mean, he was in the Prem, and he. I'm not saying he can't win there, but what I'm saying is when he was there under the same kind of pressure, you see what he got. I mean, yeah, he made Champions League, but I mean, you see what he got, and so then are Chelsea
out
fans
on second place by 1 point and lost the Champions League final.
Right. And so you got to look at it. Is Chelsea ready for what the new reality is? What's the new norm? Because the new norm, I mean, there's no way Chelsea fans want that erratic roller coaster thing to go on for another 20 years. There's no way they want that. And
I
so
will take our track record from the last 10 years and take it to the next 10 and the next 10 and the next 10 every day of this week, Lewis. You're talking three championships, two Champions League. You're talking three championships, three Prems, two.
It's not
two
sustainable.
X, look at what you've done, though. Look at what in the here and now you've done. I mentioned it earlier. That's gone, bro. That era is gone. Every single guy on your team is on an 8-year deal. You're looking at the team.
And if Mudryk doesn't, right?
This is a slow burn. I'm serious. I'm serious. You won't win a league for 5 years.
God forbid one of these boys goes down.
Chelsea will not win the league with this team for at least 5 years.
But I mean, my thing,
development. There's going to take time to development. Going to take time to mesh. Things are going to happen. Guys are going to go down. It's this approach is a long-term approach, and that's not something Chelsea fans are used to.
I think that if we can at least get into Europe for next year, that will be
that's a start.
The 8th, right? So say 8th, right? Is that right? Am I right? 8th is the Europe spot.
So it's like not guaranteed that 5th will be the next Champions League spot. I think it's a playoff.
Did they go into the play-in?
It's based on like certain different aspects of everything that happens, but it could be. It could be.
I put it like this. It's some might look at it and be like, oh, that's a loser mentality. I would say this. Their goal this year is to try to win a cup, win a domestic cup that gets you into Europe. If you don't win a domestic cup, you need to finish with between, 5 and 10. Like that's a realistic goal, because it just you're not going to figure it out until Christmas anyways.
Right.
I would say that's realistic, but the fans will want to throw Pochettino through fire if he ever said that out loud.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I mean, he said that, I mean, he already came out and said every match we need to win, and we should try to win every match, which obviously we have not done. But I do think that, he has changed the mentality, first off. I do think that if he goes and gets us into Europe, at the end of the season, which I do think that you're going to see marked improvement, especially when Nkuku comes back. I mean, you and I saw them in person. They look totally different than what we've seen so far. And it's because Jackson and Nkuku had one heck of a partnership already forming. They knew where each other were at. Nkuku was making those runs that Jackson's passing to nobody at. Nkuku was making those runs, you know? So I do think that someone like Nkuku coming back would most definitely help on the attacking side of things. And I also think that sorry, my Google's sitting here just like typing out everything I said. But I also think that it is going to be a slow burn. This is the team that we're going to have. And I think you have to start playing the guys. That's the biggest thing for me. If you're going to buy them, play them. Don't sit them on the bench. Don't let them, not get playing time so that they can actually come together and gel as a team. I mean, that was the biggest thing last year. We had the guys we bought, but we had so many that nobody could gel together in practice, let alone a game. There has to come a point to where that starts to come together. That's one reason why I appreciated the team that Pochettino brought over for the tour, because he had his 11 and he had, maybe 4 or 5 guys that he was like, maybe we'll keep them or maybe we'll sit them on loan. But that was his 11. And now, you're not seeing how he played in the preseason at all. You're not, because we played 4 at the back in the preseason. We're not playing 4 at the back we're not really playing 4 at the back. We're playing more of a 3-5-2. Sometimes because now that Reese isn't playing, it can go more to a 4-3-3 with Gusto, because he's not going to really give you much in terms of an offensive threat. But there's got to be some stability. There's got to be some, okay, we got to start making steps forward. And that's why this weekend is big, especially Friday is big. But I do think that Jackson will get on the score sheet. I think that things will settle down just a little bit. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be all, roses and rainbows, but it'll give some people a little bit of that. Okay, let's let the project work itself out under Pochettino.
Yeah, well, there you have it. Hopefully it will. Well, yeah, there you have it. That is the roundup. I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up right there on the weekend review. It was definitely a good one, and we are looking forward to plenty of games coming up in the future. If you're as excited about it as we are, go ahead and smash up the likes, subscribe to the channel, and get that notification bell on. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening, and have a great night.